From the latest in prosthetic limb design to assistance driving a car, we team up with the BBC's Click programme to talk about the newest technologies. A billion people around the world live with some kind of disability. That is 1 in 7 of us. I know, it's staggering, isn't it? And this Saturday is all about each and every one of them. It's the snappily named UN International Day of Persons with Disabilities. Well, this week, everyone's favourite tech news programme Click has sent 4 people to test new technologies that seem to be helping with their disability. I'm joined by 2 of those testers, double amputee Kathleen Hawkins and Dayne Martin, who has cerebral palsy. But first, before we hear from them, let's have a look at some of the gadgets they explored.
Try me out on 2 of their leg sockets. I'm quite the guinea pig.
So is this the first time that you have scanned for a double amputee?
It absolutely is. This is the very first double amputation that we've ever scanned before, and we're proud to have you as our first case here. This is awesome.
Thanks. Feeling confident?
Yeah.
The scanning itself was a great experience. I was impressed by how fast it was. In just a minute and a half, we had these incredibly detailed scans. The information is sent to the cloud, where it can be shared with anyone, anywhere, and the first iteration of my legs were ready to be printed out for the next morning.
These were printed, so we did the scanning yesterday, they were printed in 7.5 hours overnight, and now I'm holding it. It's amazing.
We realised there were problems early on. We had to do something of a botched job to keep them on, as you can see.
It's much comfier than I thought it would be, considering the fit is actually very low, so my leg usually comes up right up above my knees. It's pretty impressive though.
Oh, we're off. So we're going in a straight line, which is always promising. Whoa. And there we are, very tight on the brakes, obviously, which is good in an emergency, but not when you're not expecting it. At the moment, it's doing everything itself and I'm just sitting here like a passenger. But if you're in London and or any city and you're doing a normal journey to work and you're in traffic, how would it cope with people in non-autonomous cars? As we're driving more and more with the car, actually it's settling and it's becoming easier to be more comfortable in. But I can certainly see there's scope for it to improve and to be able to give us our own independent lives and to give people like me the chance to be, you know, fully part of society and, for our own sense, fully autonomous, pardon the pun.
It's quite strange seeing yourself on the telly, isn't it? I've never got used to it. Dayne Martin and Kathleen Hawkins there, and they both join me now. Dayne, we're going to start with Kathleen first, because ladies before gentlemen. So you tried out 3D prosthetics. Are they strong enough? Because isn't it? It's kind of like a papery material, isn't it?
No, it wasn't. It was a strong material, and a lot of the research that the startup company that we went to see are doing is into the material and the bonding process, so kind of the welding between the layers, which is a weak point
so
normally.
They can keep adding layers?
Yeah, you can add layers, and they did make it thicker than they perhaps normally would have done, just to be safe. And it was the socket element, so it's the bit that you put your leg down inside, and you fully weight bear on it. And it wasn't the strength of it, it was actually the fit of it that was a little bit off, as you
It wasn't that comfortable either, was it?
No, it was.
It was.
Yeah,
it was comfortable.
They did feel
these are your
comfortable.
normal prosthetics, aren't they? Now they're quite expensive, so I'm presuming the advantage of this will be cost as well, particularly for children who need them because they keep growing, don't they?
Yeah, and 3D printed arm prosthetics is something that we've been seeing for children for a while now because they're constantly growing, like you say. And for arms particularly, they can be lighter, they can be colourful. You can get them printed overnight. Some people have even got printers themselves in their houses now. And
if they break, you can get an instant replacement as well, I suppose.
Exactly.
I mean, I knew a girl who needed prosthetics on both legs, and she had a twin, so they moulded it from a twin sister's legs. But the cost to the health services in the UK, because she kept growing, and she was growing quick as well, so that would be a real great breakthrough. Dayne, what is it like driving a driverless car, being in one anyway?
Well, don't forget, I can't drive anyway, so I'm always used to people driving for me. This was just the idea of, in theory, having no one at all in the car, except that because this is a prototype, there were people in the car in the event of things going wrong, or in the case of the second car, controlling it anyway. It wasn't completely autonomous.
But realistically, could you imagine yourself, you live in London, don't you, going around the streets of London in a driverless car from A to B quite happily and quite confidently?
I think eventually the big problem being that the technology isn't quite there yet. For instance, in one of the cars I tested, the braking was so hard that me and the cameraman who was in the back nearly would have gone through the windscreen because it broke so hard that, you know, you're just going to fly forward.
Well, we're looking at you now. You don't look particularly happy. You don't look completely relaxed. And it's going quite a speed as well, so you don't feel quite ready for it yet.
There's hope that the technology is there, but it needs some work.
And what difference would that make?
The difference would be that instead of using public transport, which for me is usually cabs, because you can't use the tube network in London as a disabled person, and buses are a nightmare. So I'm reliant on the cab network, and it would mean that I'm able to do my job, go out and socialise, get from A to B when I want, how I want, and when I want to do it at my own speed and pace.
This is a very special day for yourselves and 1 in 7 people across the world. I suppose in some ways, if technology continued to improve for people with disabilities, you wouldn't have to keep campaigning for better public services and better access as well around the world. You could just get on with it, couldn't you, I suppose, Kathleen?
Well, like Dayne says, he kind of hit the nail there. It's about giving independence to disabled people, and technology is able to progress that.
OK, Kathleen, Dayne, thank you very much for coming in and speaking to us. Great programme. Click, we'll look forward to seeing that. Don't forget you can catch that special edition for the UN International Day of Persons with Disabilities this Saturday, right here on BBC World News. And you can watch these two stars in action. Thanks for both for joining us, and thanks for watching Global.